it's good to be here, and I'm going to try my best to share with you some things that I know, and also because it's a mentorship program, it's more of discussion actually. So everybody, as much as possible, would also have to come express yourself. I think that way we'll learn better, because this is not just a lecture, but a mentorship program. So it's something that everybody have to participate if you really want to make the best of our time today. Um, for that reason, I prepared something which I'm going to try to share now. Um, so can you see my screen? Hello?
Yes, I can see.
Okay,
I
okay,
see.
okay, thank you. Um, I'm trying, just a moment. I want to move something from my screen so it's not obstructing. Okay. Yeah, so the person you are seeing on the screen is also the person that you saw just now when I turned on my video. So like Feromi introduced me. Hope I got the name correctly. Um
Yes,
my
sir.
name is my name is Ajogu-Akuh. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to share with you on academic excellence today. And then just to start with, I just want to introduce you to myself, and then some of the things that God has helped me to achieve so far, and some of the things that I think you can also learn from through that too. So, like I said, I am Ajogu-Akuh, and then I'll just try to briefly take you through my career journey to this point, and then trust God to so that we can have interaction on academic excellence. I have something prepared that I would share with you, but also along the line I will ask questions, and then please do your best to communicate, try to express yourself, because it's also part of academic excellence to express yourself like this. So for me, my academic journey, first of all, I did a BSc in biochemistry. Of course, it was during that time that I met the organizer of this boot camp, Nicholas Alifa. We attended the same undergraduate school back then in Nigeria. And then, needless to say that by the grace of God, I enjoyed a bit of what I'm going to share with you today, which is about academic excellence. And through that, I was able to move on to do an MPhil, which is also what you call, it's similar to what you call MSc, just that in this you do more research. So in my case, I did both research and coursework, and then eventually finished that up. And then after that, of course, this was also this. So just to, and as we are going to do the discussion today, I'm going to share with you some of the benefits of academic excellence. For me, which at some point I'm going to also share with you some people who I think have enjoyed academic excellence. But personally, I would, I would be lying if I say I've not also enjoyed it. By the grace of God, I've enjoyed it. For example, my MPhil was sponsored on scholarship from World Bank. And I also got another funding from Wellcome Trust through this process. So along the line, I'm going to share with you some of the benefits of this excellence. And after that, I went on to do a PhD in biochemistry. Um, and so that's about my academic journey. I think I will just stop it at here for now. But just to let you know that this thing that we are going to learn today has some very, very good benefits. And we are going to have the opportunity to see some of those benefits today. Before I continue, I would like to know if you can hear me correctly, and if you have any questions so far.
We can hear you
I can
Yes,
hear
correctly.
sir.
you,
We
sir.
can hear you.
Okay, okay. All right. Any questions so far? I mean, I think we've not really started, just introduced myself. So but if you have something that you want to ask about this so far, or something that you want us to improve before we continue. Hello. Okay, so if I don't get any question, then I'll just move on. So the first thing that I want us to look at is, today we are going to talk about academic excellence, okay? And so before I tell you what I think academic excellence is, that I've prepared a slide. I would like at least one or two people to tell us about what they know about academic excellence. Can I have one or two? Anybody? I mean, we already agreed that it's going to be interactive, right? So it will not be good if all I do is just tell you what I know. Mentorship is meant to be interactive. If we don't interact, then I think you may not get the best of it. So please, there is no wrong answer, and don't get intimidated by the fact that they say, oh, this is so nobody is going to be wrong. There's no wrong answer, and it's part of excellence to also speak up at moments like this. So please, I would like to get your what do you think academic excellence is? At least one or two response. I believe we are excellent people, and please speak up, or I begin to mention names.
Okay, so let me try.
Okay, Abigail, please.
People are following my hand this evening.
You can still see my slide, right?
I see it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay, all right. So Abigail. Can can every I mean, I don't know whether it's me, but I can't hear anything.
Abigail, we can't hear you.
Okay, any other person? Can we have? All right, just to save time, but please, as we move on, it will not be good if I just do the talking. I don't think you will get the best of it. I would, I would
Sir,
like
we
you
have a
to.
comment in the chat.
Sorry.
We have a comment in the chat, sir.
Okay, okay. Please, I'm not able to read that. Please, can you read that for me?
Okay, sir. Adam said, simply put, it is doing well academically.
Okay. Yeah, doing well academically. Thank you, Adams. Yeah. So yeah, but then there's academics in there still. Anyways, but thank you for that attempt. It's doing well. I think what I would take from there, it's actually doing well in your academics. Any other trial from anyone? Thank you, Adams, for the attempt. It's really interesting to know your thoughts. Okay, just to save time. So I would first of all start with so I call this having a high academic achievement. So this is the first way that I would like to define academic excellence. Basically, having a high academic achievement. For example, coming top of your class, you know, or coming top of your department at the end of the whole journey of your university academics, or taking first if it's in secondary school or primary school, basically. But also for you to get to that level, you would have scored high grades in so many subjects compared to other students in your class. Okay, so but that's not all there is to academic excellence. But the first thing that I want us to know about academic excellence is basically having high academic achievement. For example, coming top of your class. Somebody, Adam said, doing well in your academics. Of course, that's part of it, but it's not just doing well now, but doing well and above every other person that is within your class, for example, well and above every other person that is within your department if you are in the university. Of course, that is one definition of academic excellence. And I would like to also tell us more about what I think academic excellence is. It's good to have these high grades. It's good to come top of your class. It's part of academic excellence, but that's not all there is. Um, I also think that academic excellence is being able to think critically and solve problem. I remember back then in secondary school, we used to have so we it's possible to take first, but there are other students who may not be taking first, but if you give them something to think about. For example, when we used to solve maths problem, there was a particular student, he wasn't taking first in the class. He comes to school, in fact, sometimes he doesn't come to school. But if you have very difficult maths question, give it to him. He sits down to think about it and then come out with the answer as it should be. You know, I think that such people, if they put in the same zeal as other people who would want to take first, of course, we'll talk of setting academic goal later on, but it's also part of academic excellence to be able to think critically and solve problem. Just sitting down, think about how can I do this thing better? Um, how For example, when you're in a class and they give you a question, thinking about how to do it in an innovative, of course, your teachers may also give you something. Okay. Um, and I think throughout my career journey, there are moments where, for example, the teacher gives something that everybody talks about it exactly the way the teacher said it. But an academically excellent student will think about it not just the way the teacher has said it, which is good, but try to think of how they can improve on that which the teacher or the lecturer has said. And I think that's also part of academic excellence. Any questions so far? Okay, I believe everybody is following. I would also say that academic excellence has to do with self-discipline and motivation. So being able to stay focused and organized, over time. It's and in this context, I would also say that academic excellence is not just something that happens once. It's not an academic excellent student is not one who just, for example, take first in primary one and that's all. It's being able to repeat this over and over again that actually culminates in being academically excellent. And to be able to do that, you need self-discipline. You need to stay motivated, because along the line, you will realize that even the fact that you took first now, or the fact that you appeared academically excellent at a point, um, already put a lot of pressure on you, and that requires that you are self-disciplined because other things begin to come your way that are distractions. Apart from that, it's possible, for example, that you will take first now, and then the next time you are not up to, somebody else is taking first, for example, in your class, and you may lose motivation because you feel like, oh, I did a lot this time, even beyond what I did the last time, and now I'm not where I was the last time. So you need motivation actually to be able to continue on the path of academic excellence, and that's why I basically said that here academic excellence also have to do with self-discipline and motivation. um I would also say that it has to do with ethical and responsible conduct. Now, and in respect to this, I believe that I'm a Christian and we believe in integrity. So the first thing that I said was in defining academic excellence was the fact that I said it has to do with high academic achievement. But one thing that you can agree with me is that it's possible for you to have high academic achievement in a crooked way. You know, I don't know if you have seen this, but there are students who, for example, would copy during exam and have high grades. Apparently, but by copying, they are able to score high grades. But for me, that's not um, an academically excellent student. So um, ethically and ethical and responsible conduct also is part of academic excellence. Being able is not just achieving high grades now, but achieving it in a very ethical and responsible way. Whereby you don't cut corners to get to the level that you are. You don't, for example, in an exam, try to cut corners. You don't try to do an ethical thing. In the university, for example, back then, I mean, there are people also who probably can meet lecturers to give them money to give them grades or something, or ladies sleeping around to get grades. If you do that to get high grades, it is not excellence in the real sense of it. And so the point that I want to make here is that it's not just that you have high grades, but it's that you got the good grades through ethical and responsible conduct. So I mean, I don't know if you guys would want to ask question later, then I just continue. If that's the case, you let me know. Then I continue to the end and then you ask your questions. Otherwise, I would expect that okay, somebody would if you have question, either raise your hand and follow me, please. If there's I'm not able to see the chat now, okay? So if
Okay,
there are
sir.
questions, please let me know and then I can pause and then we can talk about the question. I believe
Okay,
that
good
so
evening. Sorry. Good evening, sir.
yeah,
It's
good evening,
Nicholas.
sir.
It's Nicholas. So
Yeah, okay.
so how we normally run it is we listen to the discussion and at the end we have question and answer segment. But
Okay.
given the current topic, if it's okay for you for students to interrupt intermittently and ask question, if that won't interrupt your flow, I think that is also good. So what we'll do is thank God you have already informed Promi. Promi, please keep your eye on the screen and
Okay.
and let us know if there is any hands that is raised. And guys, if you have any question or any statement you don't understand or any statement you don't fully grasp, you can always use um, the icon to raise your hand and then they'll call attention to that. And if there is none, I think we can also have question and answer segment at the end of the session, if that's okay, sir. So you can
Okay,
continue
yeah,
to
I mean,
flow. Yeah,
yeah,
so you
okay,
can continue to flow. Yeah, you can continue to flow to the point that Feromi interrupt us.
okay. Yeah, I mean, okay, somebody has raised the hand, but for me, I felt like because it's mentorship, my expectation was that people would interact as much as possible based on the particular thing that I said. But either ways is fine with me actually. And I think that people are beginning to raise their hands. And
Yeah.
so Moses, please.
All right. Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good
Sorry,
evening.
sir. Sorry, sir. I didn't get your name earlier. I couldn't. But that's by the way. Please, sir, is there a possibility or probability if a student could be skillful and that's he could be skillful, that's clever, but not brilliant and bold. Is a possibility, and that student could also be performing academically, is academically sound and excellent, but he is clever, that is skillful, but not bold as other students when it comes to, let's say, questions being asked in the class, and he is not responsive in, just like what we are doing here, we are not responsive to lectures, to questions and to us here. So is there any possibility that a student could be skillful, and what are the chances, and also what are the reasons that is attached to that? Thank you, sir.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Moses. Yeah, and this is one of the reasons why I like it to be interactive. I remember mentioning that asking question is part of excellence, and thank you for bringing that up. My name is Ajogu-Akuh, actually. People, I mean, I think it's difficult to pronounce that for some people. So Aku is my surname, but a lot of people call me Aku, and that's also fine. Yes. Actually, maybe you asked like a couple of questions. What could be responsible for that? The first question is, can you be academically excellent and not very bold in asking question or talking in public? Yeah, that's possible, but that's something that you need to work on actually. Because out there, you really need to be able to speak for yourself. If you know what to do and then you're not able to bring it to fore, if you're not able to actually express yourself, the opportunities out there are limited. And most times you can be very, very good, but if you don't speak up well for yourself, you may end up losing the chance or the opportunity. Okay, so yes, it's possible you can be very sound, academically excellent, having good grades in a very good way, not cutting corners and all that, based on the definitions that we have said so far. But then, for example, because of your personality, there are people who are more reserved, who don't like to talk in the public. Other reasons are cultural backgrounds too. There are some environments where people who I don't know how to describe it now, but people who tend not to speak up attempt humble. I mean, of course, which may not be entirely true. You can speak up and still be humble. But there are cultural settings where if you don't talk all that, then they assume automatically that you are very humble. But you can be very quiet and proud at the same time in the real sense of it, right? So yes, you can be academically excellent and not be able to speak up at the moment, but that's not where you should be. Okay. Please, if that's a challenge for anyone here, that's the more reason why we need to interact in this. So when you speak up at events like this, it also boosts your confidence. It's really, really important that you are able to ask or express your opinion in a good way. Of course, it's not to be rowdy or insult people, but when you need to, it's important that you speak up. It's still part of academic excellence. If you're achieving high grades and you're not able to speak up, it's not complete in the real sense of it. And this is a mentorship program, so it's good that we, as much as possible, try to tell ourselves the truth. If you're not there yet, even if you're having high grades, along the line, you will see that you are limited in a way. We are having this discussion today because somebody have decided to speak up. Somebody have decided to be proactive at helping other people. Imagine if he didn't come up with this. He's already doing well. He's academically excellent. But it's part of his excellence to be able to also translate that or repeat that in other people. So yes, it's possible, but that's not where you should be. You need, if that's a challenge for anyone, then please try to improve on it. It's a gradual process, of course, but it's important. Speaking up, it's really, really important. Okay. Hope I answer, at least you got the concept. All right, so I'll just continue. So I think just the last thing I will say about academic
Yes, sir.
excellence. Okay, okay. All right. The last thing I will say
Yes,
about
sir. Yes,
academic.
sir. Thank you. But I dropped a backup question.
Okay, okay. What's the backup question? I'm trying to see if
Where
sorry,
is
me
it from
please
your
can.
side?
Sorry, is in the chat box, but I
Okay, what's
is
the
in the chat
question,
box.
please?
So the second one was, are there chances or possibility of a skilled student who is good with who is dexterous performing
Hmm.
more than an intellectual student? What are the possibilities? That's the second.
Okay,
Someone who is
so
good with, yeah.
somebody. So what do you mean by dexterous is somebody who is um dexterous is being good with your hands, right? So do you mean to say somebody who is very consistent?
Is skilled with let's say things to do with creatively using your hands
Okay, yeah, that's what
to
dexterous means. Yeah.
create stuff. Yes, using your hands. Somebody, yeah. Yes. So, what are the chances of such a student who is skilled with his hands performing more than someone who is just focused on book reading and yeah? Let me just put it that way.
Okay, yeah. So it depends on the context, right? So some concepts are based more on what you can do with your hands. Some are based on how you can think through things, right? Either ways, and we are going to see that along the line, but it's all boils down to your input into creating the academic achievement at the end of the day. Okay, so even if your hands are good on something, you know, if you don't put in the hard work necessary to come top, somebody who is not as gifted as you are can eventually overtake you. I don't know if you understand that. So it's possible, for example, that you know how to for example, there are people who are naturally good with maths, right? But then they are good with maths, but they don't sit down to study the maths as they should. Then there's somebody else who is not as good with maths, and because he or she knows that he's not as good with maths, he decides to create more time to learn maths. So you may just deceive yourself to think that, oh, is it not maths? I will just finish it anytime. And then you come to the hall and then you see that somebody who on paper may not be as good as you are before, because of the effort the person has put in, would outsmart you. So it's possible you may be dexterous in a particular area, but if you don't put in as much hard work, somebody else who is not as dexterous but put in more hard work will do better. That's a fact. Okay. So the last thing that I will talk
Thank you
about,
so much.
all right, thank you. That I will talk about academic excellence is having effective learning strategies. It's important that and this is also very key because academic excellence is not just something that happens once. It's something that it has to continue on a consistent basis. Okay, not just with your studies, but it should translate even as you progress from your study. Let that excellence also translate into other aspects of your life. And that happens if you have effective learning strategies so that it helps you to be able to reproduce your results, and also help you to be able to translate that to other people who may need to be as excellent in their own areas as possible. Okay. So I think with this, I would just continue. But this is all that I want us to know about academic excellence so far. First, I mentioned that it's about having a very good academic achievement. And also in doing that, you need to do it in a very responsible and ethical manner, applying discipline and motivation, and being able to think critically at solving problem. Okay, so the next thing that I want us to talk about is, why should I be academically excellent? Is there any benefit to this thing? Is there, I mean, why should I? Why should I be top of my class? For example, you know, and because of course I learned that there can also be question at the end, and if you have an urgent question, you can stop me in the middle of the talk, but I'll just continue now. So the first reason that I think we should be academically excellent is that it increases your confidence and self-esteem. You know, of course, this is not to say it in an arrogant way. Of course, some people also bring arrogance into this, but in the real sense of it, being academically excellent helps your self-confidence and self-esteem. It helps you to be able to, there is a level of confidence that you have when you are sure that what you are saying is the correct thing, you know. And also talking to people about this, there is a level of confidence that you have because you have proven result in that area. Okay, so it helps you to be able to communicate, and that's why, to go back to Moses's earlier question, an academically excellent student should also have very high level of confidence and self-esteem. You know, there are cultures where, for example, because you're academically excellent, when you talk, they'll say, is it because you are, you know? So that can be there, but I think it's important that we weigh that, we throw that aside, because it's very, very important. This is also one of the benefits that come with this. And as you see more benefits, you will see that having confidence and self-esteem open doors of opportunities to you. You know, there is a way that you talk to somebody that you are asking for something from, and you get it immediately. Why? Because of the level of confidence and self-esteem that you have. Okay. The other thing that you can get by being academically excellent is opportunities for leadership. You know, the truth is, it is the leaders that ultimately make decisions that rule every other people, you know. And most times, of course, where everything works normally, it is your academic excellence also give you a room, or allows you to lead people even more, because people tend to trust you because of what you have achieved academically. And so it helps you to have leadership roles and opportunities. And through those leadership roles and opportunities, you are able to effect more positive change in your society, influence more people to be academically excellent. And if we have a society where majority of the people are academically excellent, that sense, because the process of becoming academically excellent also trains you to be responsible, trains you to comport yourself in an ethical manner, and that ultimately helps the society. Okay, so this is one of the other opportunities or benefits that you can have from being academically excellent. Of course, we can also talk about expanded career opportunities. So, I mean, I'm trying not to use personal examples as much as possible so that it can, but sometimes these things are necessary so that we can, I'll try as much as possible. Yeah, so of course, being academically excellent expands your career opportunities. For me personally, so I remember when I got World Bank fellowship for my MPhil, there was another opportunity for internship, and you know, that one was from Welcome Trust, right? And if you know what it takes to get Welcome Trust, it's a lot. You have so many excellent students who would apply for things like that, but when and after I got the fellowship, then I got to know that of course they look at your level of academic excellence to be able to even shortlist you for interview in the first place. Then you do the interview, then they sieve out a lot of other people, But the point I want to make here is that it gives you more opportunities. Imagine somebody who is on World Bank Fellowship, and then on top of that, you're getting a Wellcome Trust um, fellowship again for more development. So being academically excellent expand your career opportunities. And also I remember when we finished our undergraduates, with first class. I mean, ordinarily I wouldn't. So many other opportunities began to come. Like you hear somebody call you, okay, would you like to do this? Would you like to do this? And then you now have to think, oh, I mean, this one is not something that I have flair for, But there are other people who anything that comes, at least let me just be doing it, and So being academically excellent helps you to have more opportunities, more career opportunities. You have a lot more offers coming your way with academic excellence than otherwise, actually. Of course, access to scholarships and awards. So, like I just mentioned, there are so many scholarships out there that some of them, the first thing they will say is, what is your class of degree in applying for it? Of course, it's not to say that if you don't have first class, you can't apply for scholarships, okay? But there are some scholarships that I got, and other people applied for the same scholarship. But I think that because when you compare, those people have um, the same level of preparation as myself, but I think that that academic excellence of having, for example, a first class gives you an edge over them already. And then if you now go ahead to prove yourself in interviews with what you know, then it gives you even a higher edge. And so being academically excellent allows you to apply for, I mean, when I was applying for scholarships, there is a level of confidence that I had applying for scholarships because um I believe that by God's grace, with what I have, I would be qualified for virtually all scholarships that people at undergraduate level would apply for at that point. Of course, when I got to my MPhil level too, when I was applying for my PhD, which was also fully funded, it was also the same thing. So I had more opportunities, and of course, with academic excellence, also you will have more offers when you apply for scholarships. I had offers from different countries, and then it now became okay. Which country do I like more, or which one would have more package for me in terms of benefits while doing my study, So this is another opportunity that comes with being academically excellent. And also the other benefit is stronger critical thinking skills, So because of the rigor that is involved in academic excellence, the truth is there's I think it was let me just not mention the exact author of this, but it's a wise person that says that staying at the top is far more demanding than going to the top. And so when you become academically excellent, there's a whole lot that comes with that. And that also helps you to think more critically, about managing yourself as a person, managing your interaction with other people. If ordinarily you are not top of your class, for example, you may not have as much sense of responsibility in that sense. But the fact that you are academically excellent, the fact that you really need to keep up, it helps you to think more. It helps you to analyze more things. And of course, because you have to be ahead as a matter of responsibility, then you are forced to also think and apply yourself to more thinking so that you can be ahead. Okay. And finally, on this, I would also say that it gives you foundation for lifelong learning. You know, all that we have been saying have been based on taking first in secondary school, for example, or achieving first class in undergraduate, or getting distinction in your master's or MPhil, and doing your PhD and all of that. But beyond that, it's also the fact that an academically excellent person, somehow these principles that you have lived by over the years translates even into your life. Of course, it's not of course, in real life, there are people who are doing well academically, but may not be doing well in other areas of life. But the truth is, if you would apply the same thinking, the same effort that you put into achieving academic excellence into your life, you will be able to learn more and also achieve excellence in those areas. And I think that this is another benefit that you get from academic excellence. It gives you foundation to continue to learn on a consistent basis. Of course, that's what life should be. Yeah, so that's about why we need to be academically. Of course, there are so many other reasons why we should strive to be academically excellent. I'm also trying to gauge the audience because I believe that this is a secular setting, if I'm not mistaken. But as a Christian, one of the reasons why I also strive to be academically excellent is so that I can, through that, also influence people for um for eternity. Okay. Um, I believe in Jesus, right? And most of the things that I've achieved so far has been in collaboration with the Holy Spirit, working with Him, giving me strength. And I believe that that's one of the major reasons why I want to be academically excellent, because it gives you opportunity to speak with people that ordinarily you wouldn't have audience with. It gives you confidence to meet a lot of people. And as these opportunities come, it also helps you to mentor other people, and also help them know that beyond just being academically excellent, there is a life after now, and you can enjoy it here with your academic excellence and also enjoy life after now. This is what I believe, and I know that anyone here who would make that choice, it would really, really be a good choice. Yeah, so that's about one being some of the benefits of being academically excellent. Now, I would like to go further and talk about, we've been talking about what academic excellence is, why we need to have academic excellence, and now I would like us to also learn a bit further about how do I become academically excellent. So this is where we are getting more and more into things that mentorship should be about. It's not just telling you what we have achieved, but also the secret of men are in their stories, and of course, and that's why I try to, as much as possible, bring in some of my experiences. But then, how do we achieve academic excellence? So the first thing is set a clear academic goal. So if, for example, I don't know the level of everyone here, but I believe that maybe majority of the people attending this program are either in the university or they are doing their master's or doing their PhD. Okay. Irrespective of the level that you are, you need to have a clear academic goal. What is academic excellence at this stage of my career or at this stage of my study? For example, if you are in the university, academic excellence would imply you, for example, either having a first class, that's the first goal, or even if it's not a first class, but the highest possible CGPA in your department, that's also part of academic excellence, just being top of your class, and so that's for you to be able to achieve that, you need to start with setting the goal. What do I really want to get out of this stage of my career? I'm already in the university studying ABC course. I want to make a first class, so you need to set that clear academic goal at the beginning, and then you begin to work towards it. Now, the next thing that you need is you need self-discipline and motivation. Self-discipline implies being able to doing what you have to do part time, and not wasting time. I'm trying to paraphrase it in a way that everybody would be able to get. So self-discipline is about doing what is really, really necessary for you to do at a particular time, while letting go of other things that are just mere activities, and for you to really achieve academic excellence, you need to be able to, in terms of self-discipline, know what is it that is really, really important for me to do at this particular time, and what other thing do I not need to do now, which is probably going to be a distraction. Okay. Back then in the university, for example, when I came in, I made up my mind that I was going to work towards having a first class, and then I began to work towards it, and part of the self-discipline is that there are gatherings that I won't go for, not because they are entirely bad, but because it's going to prevent me from having time to really work on the goal of having first class. In having first class, I need to spend time studying to an extent, and having that self-discipline to say, okay, this is my time to study, and these ABC things are things that I'm not going to do because they are going to distract me from, for example, focusing on my academic goal. That sense of self-discipline is really, really important. And of course, you need motivation because, for example, you start out with, I want to make first class, right? And then you start, and maybe your first result is not a first class yet. Maybe if you are in a university where the grading system is 5.0, maybe you had 4.2 in your first result. That's not what a first class student should start with. It's at least maybe 4.5 or 4.6, for a start. But now you are starting with a grade that is below that. You need motivation to be able to continue, actually, because you may start thinking, oh, with all the effort that I've put in now, I still did not make first class. I mean, I should just give up, and not try again. But if you do that, you will not be able to achieve academic excellence. Okay. So you need self-discipline, you need motivation, and there are so many things that can keep you motivated. For me, sometimes it's reading stories of people. There are other people, for example, whose story you may come across, who, for example, did probably even started with 3.9 or something, a grade lower than the grade that you're already on. But then they are able to say that, okay, even with that grade, I continued, I did A, B, C, and then you begin to see, oh, okay, then it's not too late for me. If you don't feel motivated enough by that yet, you can, if possible, in this day and age, it's possible to also connect with people. You can write them a message, if it's on LinkedIn, or wherever that you come across them, you can try to either read their story or try to talk to them directly, and then they'll be able to talk to you more, encourage you. But of course, let me put this caveat. There are people that you write to, for whatever reason, may not have the time to respond back to you. It's also part of motivation not to be too worried, okay? But irrespective of what it is very, very important that you stay motivated. Look for things that can motivate you, stories that can motivate you. If you need to, for example, watch movies that can motivate you, you need that also to be able to achieve academic excellence. The other thing that you need for academic excellence is a growth mindset. Academic excellence is a journey. And there's this thing I read from Nicholas, I think last week, and it's basically talking about you being able to, so your growth is based on you outdoing yourself, not just outdoing others. It's not just doing better than other people, but doing better than you have done in the past. If, for example, today you look back and then you did not do better than you did yesterday, you probably have not grown, right? So for you to be academically excellent, you need to have this mindset that this is where I am today. Tomorrow I have to grow beyond where I am. In terms of, for example, what I know now, in terms of what I can do now. So academic excellence is a journey, and you need to have this mindset of growth that is not just that I've taken first this semester, or I've written first class this semester, and that's the end of it. No, it's a growth process. Okay, so if you write first class this semester, you need to work on it that your point in the next semester should be even higher than your point in this current semester. Okay, so having that sense, that mindset of growth, where you don't settle for less, or settle for whatever result that you have already, and take it as this is the end, or this is the highest I can be. No, there is always room for improvement. Whatever level that you are now, I'm having this mindset that how can I make it better? Sometimes the way you can do this is looking at people who, for example, at your level are doing similar thing but doing it better and bigger, or other people who are ahead of you, but are still striving to achieve more. You can come and say, okay, for example, you are writing 5.0 on the dot as your CGPA, but then you see another person who also is writing the same 5.0 CGPA, but is doing other things, is learning other things, and then it should motivate you to have the same kind of growth mindset that this is not all that there is. It's good to have this 5.0 CGPA that I have, but what other things can I do more to be to be well-rounded, to be more vast in my academic excellence. Okay. The other thing that you need is effective time management. This is really, really important and key. I'm going to later on show you some things about time management, but for now, I'll just tell you that it's really, really important that you're able to manage your time. This sounds counterintuitive, right? Because nobody has control over time, right? So you basically plan to plan your event such that you are able to work with the time that you have effectively. So this has to do with a lot of planning. So yourself as a person. For example, the time that you are more productive. It can be early hours of the morning, it can be late in the night. For me, for example, early hours of the morning or late in the night, like around 2 a.m., those times are times that if at times that I really, really am able to think through things. I'm able to read a lot, and so I plan my life to be within this time. I try to cut off every other thing that may be a distraction as much as possible, so that within that time you are able to focus on achieving academic excellence in a very serious way. So being able to manage your time in this way, knowing when you are more productive as a person, is not the same for everybody. Okay. So it helps you to be able to make proper use of your time. And by making proper use of your time, you are able to achieve academic excellence. I will talk about time management in a sense when I mention something else. I would like to introduce a principle, but At this point, I would really want us to know that it's important that you are able to manage your time if you must achieve academic excellence. Create time for everything that you need to do. Don't just allow people bump into you without a plan. Okay, as much as possible. Of course, sometimes it may come across as arrogant because some people from nowhere can just call you and just, and start talking. And this is not what you planned for. And sometimes some of those things, sorry to say, may not really be, it just discussions that are not really relevant, just asking questions or saying things that for you is not important at that moment. It's important that you're able to also courageously tell people, at least try to wrap up the conversation at the moment, or keep your phone away so that you can come back to, if you miss the call, you can return it later, so that you're able to effectively manage your time. Another thing that I would say is having a study strategy that works for you. There's this assumption that for you to be academically excellent, you have to study 24 hours. I would say from experience and from also other people that I've seen, that's not entirely true. I know people who wrote first class, and most times the time that they spend studying is maybe 1 hour in the evening, just an hour, and then they go back to sleep. Having a study strategy that works for you, as humans, our makeup are not the same. What works for me may not work for you. My body may like staying up late in the night to study. But other people, that time is the time that they sleep. So it's counterproductive for you to say, oh, because brother A or sister B is writing first class and he stays up late in the night, I will also stay up late in the night. If your body is not built for that, you will just waste your time staying up late in the night. Okay, so it's important that you look at yourself, and of course this comes with practice, right? It's not bad to stay up. There are moments that you have to do this thing whether your body likes it or not, okay? But then on a normal day, there are things that your body likes. There is a rhythm of your body. There are times of the day that your body responds better. Also, there is a study plan, like there's a time span within which your attention can be sustained studying a particular thing. And I'm going to talk about Pomodoro technique later, but having a study strategy that works for you is one of the ways that you can achieve academic excellence, and in doing this, it helps you to now focus on what can keep you in the balance. There are people, I remember a story, of course, this person was not academic, he was not writing first class, but there was a student back then who stayed up studying for an exam, and then just close to, like earlier, he was just feeling really, really sleepy. So he went to lie down and slept off and missed the exam. So you can see now that the person was just trying to put it, not staying in the balance, and then at the end of the day ended up eventually failing the exam, because if you don't write exam like that, it's just automatic carryover. But I think that what I would have done differently, and that's also my principle back then, especially during exams, before exam, you would have studied a lot of things that you should study. So during exam, all I do is just reading summary that I have jotted down, and that takes me maybe 1 to 2 hours. If I have other people that I need to show 1 or 2 things, then I go to sleep so I can sleep properly, wake up early, and then be able to go for my exam on time. Sometimes you can also come to exam venue and then they've changed the venue. If you don't come on time, you may also miss out. But if you don't have a study strategy that works for you, or if you just follow people just because they are writing top grades without understanding yourself, you may also not be able to achieve academic excellence. Of course, also to mention that you may not have started out maybe writing first class, but it's never too late. Okay. It's not a birthright, right? academic excellence is not a birthright of some people. It's just anybody can achieve it. If you care to apply the principles and apply yourself to what it takes to achieve that. Okay. Now the other thing is create a study schedule that also and for me I back then, even from my secondary school days, I used to have, for example, every day of the week I have a particular subject that I study in the evening, and then I create a timetable. Okay. Then this night I just go to my timetable. This is the subject that I'm studying. This is the particular topic of that subject that I'm going to study. And then when I study that, I create a summary. And when I'm done, I try to revise. Okay, what did I learn for this so amount of time that I've studied today? And then next time I continue like that. And when you build on it like that consistently, when it's time for exam, you just need to read through the summary of what you have done. But this begins with creating a schedule. Even on campus, I had a schedule like that, looking at, okay, today I'm going to do Math 101, for example. Tomorrow I'm going to do so course, and then you do it like that. Of course, in doing that also, you don't have to do the entire course. Okay, if for example it's mathematics, there are so many topics in mathematics, and then you pick one of the topics you are doing for that term or for that semester, and then focus on an aspect of and try to understand that one that you focus on. Okay, because there's a temptation to want to do a lot all at once, which will end up being counterproductive. Okay, so you need to create a schedule, and then in creating that schedule, you need to work on the bits of courses that you have per time. Don't try to do everything. I mean, everybody that you see doing well started from somewhere, and it starts with taking small and little steps. Okay, so it's important that you have a schedule. I've mentioned this while talking, but this is one practice that I do consistently. I always take note or summary of when I'm studying, because, for example, you need to be able to remember important concepts that you came across while studying. If you are preparing for an exam, for example, you need to be able to remember things that you think would be part of the exam. One of the things that I also do is trying to picture, for example, what kind of question can a teacher or a lecturer ask about this area, and you take note or summary, or what thing in this thing that I'm reading now, which aspect of it will I not remember easily? You begin to note that down so that when you need to, when exam is fast approaching, these are some of the things that you think you need to go look at first, because there are concepts that seem somehow difficult, and so by taking note or summary, it also helps you when it's about time for your exam. You are able to quickly, instead of going through the entire textbook or through the entire notes, you are able to go through just few pages that have like a summary or an abstract of what you have done over the whole term or semester, and then it helps you to cover more ground faster. Okay, the other thing is you learn good memory retention techniques. So there are so many ways, and most of them I've also tried to practice. I did biochemistry, and if you know what it means, there are so many structures. For example, if you do carbohydrate chemistry, there are so many, like you will see names that are kind of similar, and you need to be able to draft or come up with something that would help you to be able to remember the names and differentiate them better. Okay, so there are ways. For example, we can create an acronym. An acronym is something like a name. You can create something into a name that will help you to remember what that concept is about faster. Okay. Or you can make it into an alphabet. Okay. I remember when we were doing chemistry back then, you use so the first 20 elements of the periodic table, you can basically use a song to recite and then be able to remember from hydrogen down to calcium, be able to remember the whole 20 elements. All of these techniques are really, really important because you may sit down to learn these things now, but if you're not able to retain them in your memory, you may not be able to remember them in your exam. And the only evidence that you know this is what you write in your exam, in the real sense of it, okay? So you need to practice techniques that will help you to retain what you have read or what you have studied. Of course, each of these are concepts that need to be practiced. But in this respect, all I can say is these are things that you actually need. And I believe that, of course, if when it's time for questions and people ask about this, then maybe we can talk about it better. But there are so many other techniques that I had used to try to be able to remember what I'm reading. For example, I can create a story around it. So many things. For example, when we're doing chemistry, I remember, there is this concept of oxidation and reduction, right? It's always like it's very easy to forget the definition or mix them up. So there's this concept that I formed called OIL. So OIL is oxidation is loss. So oxidation is basically loss of electron. Okay. Then reduction, RIG. Reduction is gain. So it's gain of electron. Sorry if I'm going into detailed concepts, but basically these concepts help me to quickly remember these things that are a bit confusing, and then you are able to put the points together when you are, for example, asked to balance redox equation, for example. So many techniques that you can use to remember what you are studying. Okay. Another thing, especially in this day and age, if you really want to be academically excellent, you need to know current academic resource that is at your disposal. There are so many things now that can help you learn better. Okay. There's ChatGPT, for example, that you can basically, if you're finding something difficult, I remember trying to write code in R, and basically just ask ChatGPT, and then it gives you prompts, and then you just adapt the code to your file, and then it runs well. These were things that before now, I remember when I was doing my MPhil, and I think just ChatGPT had not come that time. And if I write R code, sometimes you spend a whole day just on Google writing, and then it gives you a prompt. You're not able to adapt it to your code. But now I think it's much more easier to do that. But just imagine if I'm not aware of ChatGPT, for example, and there are so many other new resources that are coming out. And it's important that if you have a cell phone, a mobile phone, that you use it effectively to know current technologies that can help you academically to be excellent. Okay, so many resources that are coming out every day. There are things, for example, like there's this concept. So doing my PhD, I was trying to solve a structure of a protein complex, right? Maybe this may be something, but just follow the story. Okay. So and then if you know what it means to do that, you need to express a protein, and the protein that I was expressing was really difficult protein to express because it has what is called iron sulfur clusters that makes it difficult to express, right? So I express it, but then I lose the cluster, and because that cluster is important for the protein to function well, it was going to take me a very, very long time to get past that level. But then came AlphaFold, right? And with AlphaFold, you are able to predict protein complex to near experimental accuracy. And just imagine if I didn't know that AlphaFold had come out. I would have spent more time in the lab trying to solve the protein complex that would have taken me a long time. But with AlphaFold, you're able to have an idea of how the interaction interface of the protein-protein interaction will be. And then with that, I began to make mutants instead of just solving a complex first. And I think that saved me some time. There are so many other academic resources that are out there like that. If you want to be academically excellent, it's important that you know some of these things. One of the ways of knowing this is also connecting with people who are in the same field and who are making improvement on their academic achievement. So you can check sometimes you see people write on a new paper. For example, there are people in my field that I see their publication, and then as you go through the publication, you have new idea to try something new, you know. So it's important that you stay abreast of academic resource that comes out per time. Okay, I think I've said a lot on this. Maybe we'll stop on this topic. I mean, on this will be the last point for this. So another thing that you need is a study group of like-minded people and convictions. There is a common saying that if you want to run fast, walk alone. But if you want to walk far, then work with other people of like minds. Okay. So academic excellence, sometimes you need other people who have the same mindset. You need, for example, a study group of people who, even if you don't want to go to class, they have to, you already have a group that will encourage you to go to class together. Of course, it's not a group where you go and all you do is just gist and come back. It's just counterproductive. Okay, that's why I say these like-minded people and convictions. You know, there are some other, as Christians, we also know that evil communication corrupt good manners. Okay, even though you are going to study, if after your study what you discuss is also other things that would you may pass your exam now, but after your exam you begin to think of other things that next time you may not have time to study again. It's important that when you are forming a group like this, it should be people of like minds, people who also have the same drive for academic excellence, and people who, for example, as a Christian, people who have the same Christian conviction as I do. I'm a Christian and I would not bribe to pass exam. I would not, even if there is no lecturer in the class to invigilate the exam, I would not go and copy. So those level of integrity and ethical conduct are important. And if you are in a group of people who do not have the same conviction as you can be studying and then somebody will come up and say, oh, this is the question of the exam we are going to write tomorrow. As a Christian, it's wrong for you to see exam question the day before, and then that's malpractice, literally, right? And but if you're in the midst of people who do that consistently, at some point you may not even go to class again. It's just say, oh, have you seen the question for tomorrow? And one thing about this academic excellence thing is that it's a process. And as you apply yourself to the process, you are growing, not just for the sake of passing the exam, but also as a person, you are growing. Okay, so it's important that when you have a study group, it should be people that have the same mind as you, and also people who have the same conviction as you. So just to take it further, I'll just try to be as faster now. So we'll just have a look at some common challenges and how can we overcome them. So there's this, I talked about being able to properly manage time before. So one of the challenges is poor time management. You may have the drive, you may want to really, which I believe everybody here does. You have this drive to succeed, but if you're not able to manage your time well, you will just discover, what have I done today, and today is gone. But if you manage your time well, you are able to achieve important things based on on how well you're able to manage your time. One of the things you can do is having planners or calendars. For example, for me, every day as I wake up, I try to put in my calendar what I have to do and the time that I think I'll be able to achieve those goals. But the first thing that you also do is write down what is the most important thing that I have to do for today, and then what time of the day is the most productive time for me. What time is my body more mentally active to do this? And so you put that time for that activity, and then other activities can come later. But if you don't put it down, there are times, for example, that I have something that I was supposed to do. I mean, I remember when I was doing my PhD, for example, have an experiment that I needed to do, but because it's not in my calendar, I just come to the office and then forgot that I did not even start the experiment at all. So it's important that you put it down that this is what I want to do. And based on your understanding of your body chemistry, your most productive time of the day, you now, based on the priority that you attach to what you have to do, then you put those things in the time slot as much as possible. Of course, sometimes also it's important that you don't try to do everything at once. There are some things that are, even though they are important, you need to be able to split them into bits so that you can do the ones that you can do within the time. You only have, all of us only have 24 hours in a day, and some things practically cannot be done in 24 hours. And even in that 24 hours, you need to eat, you need to sleep, so you should be able to, you would be realistic with yourself to tell yourself, okay, I can't do all of this today, but let me do this part of this, and then tomorrow I continue. For example, when I was expressing recombinant proteins during my PhD or even during my MPhil, so first of all, you need to do, for example, what is called a PCR. And when you do a PCR, you put the pieces together. If you want to do the cloning, you can do the cloning, and then you transform into your cells, and then you have to wait, then you continue tomorrow. Just imagine that I say, okay, I have to do the PCR, do the cloning, and let the cells come out that same day. It's not possible. The cells also need time to be able to begin to express the recombinant proteins that you give them. So in doing that, I learned to be able to break down these experiments into bits so that I can have time for other things. I can have time to come back and be able to relax a bit and then wake up to continue with my study and also generate more ideas. Okay. And of course, it's important, like I mentioned, to do the most important things first. So prioritize the task that you have to do every day. What is the most important thing that I have to do today? And at the end of the day, I'd also try to check my notes. Did I really do that thing that I wrote down in the morning to do? So it's important that you prioritize the things that you do. Another challenge that you can have in trying to be excellent is pressures and expectations. Sometimes some of these expectations and burdens come from loved ones. Some people say that, you have, some parents say, when we used to have prize giving day those days, I remember I lived in a neighborhood, and when I take first, my other neighbors, their parents ordinarily wouldn't have been. I personally think that they wouldn't have felt bad if not that somebody in the neighborhood took first and collected a lot of prize, and their own child, even though it did not fail, did not collect as much prize. So that sense of those things make some students to have, I have to take first or take at least collect prize so that when I come home next time, they will not really scold me and make me think that I'm not good or those kind of thing. So these kind of things begin to come, and then the truth is, if you bow to these kind of pressures and expectations, it's even more likely that you may not do well because you are becoming reactive instead of being proactive and understanding yourself. You know, so I mean, I wouldn't, so that we have less time now. I'll just try to run through it. But the basic thing is that one of the things that can affect academic excellence is when you have this kind of external pressures and expectations. And I think one of the ways you can go through this is talk to your family and whoever it is, if you are doing PhD, for example, there are times that your boss, your supervisor will tell you, okay, we need a paper out, or there's a conference, I need data to be able, and then you are doing experiments and it's not working as expected. So you need to be able to communicate, okay, this is what I'm doing, this is why things are not working well yet, I'm working on it, but it's important that you are able to really communicate the expectation. Um it's also important that you focus on your personal progress. Compared to last term or last semester, am I a better person? Have I improved? That's one of the things that you should also look out for first, not just that am I doing better than so person? That person have his or her own personal race. Okay. And so it's important that you see excellence or success as outdoing yourself rather than outdoing other people or doing better than other people. Okay. Of course, the progress of other people can challenge you to do better, not to become, not in a competitive or jealous way, but in a positive sense, that it gives you the belief that if somebody that I know, or somebody, or a human being of my, can do this, then I also can do it. But it's not that trying to pull another person down so that you can appear irrelevant. I don't think that you have achieved success in that way. And if you see that it's really overwhelming, especially if you're at a level, I mean, at undergraduate, it may not be a problem, but if you are doing postgraduates, if you are doing masters, may not be as much also. But if you are doing PhD, for example, some of these pressure can be really, really overwhelming, And if you see that you're not able to handle it, it's better to seek counseling because it can lead to depression in the real sense of it. Okay. So when you feel really burdened by this, try to seek counsel. Another thing is there are times that you may not even be motivated to try to be excellent again. You may just feel like, oh, I've tried severally, it's not working, I'm not good enough. You begin to doubt yourself. You begin to have what is called imposter syndrome. Am I really good? Am I, those doubts begin to come because for example, you put in all your effort and what came out is really, really nothing to write home about. It makes you feel like you are really, really not good, and you begin your your morale begins to go down in that way. Okay. So one of the things you can do is review your goals again. It may be that you are setting goals that are really, really too high and too ambitious that is not really practicable. Okay, so one of the things you can do is review your goals and try to make it such that it's achievable. And then there are times, for example, where I just give myself some kind of rewards when I expressed a particular protein or when a particular experiment worked well. I just decide to give myself a treat, or I just go on vacation just to reward myself or buy myself a particular gift, just to keep myself motivated, or set a target that if I reach this particular milestone, I'm going to do so thing for myself. So the drive now becomes, let me get to the point where I can get this gift, and that can keep you motivated to keep running. Of course, another thing that can help your motivation is staying connected with peers that inspire you. most times I go on LinkedIn and then I read stories, I read posts of people who are doing well, and then you get inspired by it. Okay. So sometimes you also read stories of people who face challenges and were able to turn things around. And then it inspires you that, okay, I'm going through similar phase now, and I believe that I'll be able to overcome it also. Another challenge that you can come across is you can sometimes, because of the volume of things you have to do to be excellent, you can go through stress and burnout. And one of to overcome this kind of thing, you need to have breaks and downtime. It's not it's not it's not good that you work all the time without break. Okay, so it's good to have to properly plan so that you can have time to relax and rest, be able to relax, and just have other things that would prevent you from burning out. you know have a healthy sleep and exercise routine. For me, for example, early in the morning when I wake up, do my devotion, I go to the gym, try to do exercise, you know. And of course, there are times that obviously you will not be able to have. Some people say that you need to have 6 to 7 hours of sleep. Of course, it depends. You need to adapt it to yourself. I personally do not do that for the most part, but if that works for you, of course, then try to the other time that you are awake, try to use it very well. But I know that part of the night it's a time that I'm more productive, and so I try to stay up and then sleep and then wake up and continue with the rest of the activity. So just stay in the balance of what works for you, but ultimately have a healthy sleep and then exercise as much as possible. um of course, another challenge is also procrastination. Procrastination is I have to do this thing now, but I will say, okay, I'll do it tomorrow, you know, and then tomorrow comes, then I say, okay, no, I'll move it to another day, and then the time continues to go like that. Okay, so it's not a good thing if you procrastinate, because before you know it, you begin to come close to the deadline or you miss the deadline. Okay, so what you can do is you start with, don't try to do all the things at once. Just try to do small bits that can work per time, and then sorry, and then you'll be able to do the rest. So don't try to do the whole chunk of things at once, but break it down into bits and be able to do the rest. Of course, another way of avoiding procrastination, time is fast spent. But the distraction of social media, this is really, really a big deal. And I don't know if it's just me, but there are times that I've had to delete some apps from my phone because of because it was constituting more of distraction than really being a productive app for me. You just stay now, and then messages kept coming in, notifications kept coming in, and then distracting you. Sometimes you check it and then, oh, it's not important, but you just feel, okay, let me just check it briefly, and before you know it, you have spent 3 hours just surfing and just not really, really being productive, but just reading stories or memes or comedies that are not really, really important for you at that time. Okay, so it's important that you eliminate, especially the distraction of social media. What I try to do is when I want to read or study, for example, and sometimes I keep my phone away in the place that I will not even see it at all until I'm done studying what I have to study at that time. And then shut down every other notification that may pop up on my laptop, for example, so that I'm able to focus on what I have to do. Because if, for example, you have to do something and then you spend that time on social media for unproductive things, you may now tell yourself, okay, I'll do it tomorrow. And then that tomorrow comes, then you kept shifting it like that. Okay, so it's important that you try to eliminate some of these distractions. And then I would just briefly try to show us this concept called Pomodoro technique. So I remember, sometimes somebody can spend 3 hours in the study room or wherever trying to study, and then you are challenged and you want to spend, but it's not all of us that can have that um consistent attention span, right? So what you can do is you may study for 3 hours, but if you understand that your attention span is maybe between 15 to 30 minutes, spend that 15 to 30 minutes really focusing on your study. And after that, if you continue, your attention may not be on what you are reading again, okay? But what you can do is distract yourself a bit for like 5 or 10 minutes, okay? So you have 30 minutes of focusing on a bit of what you want to study per time, study that. And then when you see that your attention span is exhausted at that point, then you give yourself 5 minutes break. Within that 5 minutes, if you like, you can maybe just check something online, or do something that your brain can relax for 5 to 10 minutes. You really need to work on that 5 to 10 minutes, because if you stay longer, your drive to study may also run out, okay? But it's important that you understand your attention span and then give a break in between. That helps your longevity in being able to stay studying for longer. Another challenge is not having a lack of study skills. I mentioned summarizing or how you can remember difficult concepts better, Another way is when you teach other people, of course, it also helps you to remember them. The process of trying to teach other people, you sit down to study it more for yourself. You need to understand it to be able to teach other people. And when you do that, it helps you what you teach other people stays more with you. Okay. And that's one of the ways that you can overcome the lack of study skills that affect academic excellence. You can, like you are attending this now, when you attend things like this, and then don't just attend for attending sake, but take notes, write down action steps that you need to take after this exercise, and then try to apply them as much as possible. Of course, review your materials. Sometimes, like I said before, there's a temptation to really focus on getting the immediate result, but it's a marathon, right? So you need to be able to think in the long term. It's not just that I took first now, but how am I applying what I studied? Okay, so try to review these materials with time. Okay, so I'll just try to be quick and run through balancing academics and life, because there's this temptation to almost always focus on just passing your exams alone and not having time for other things. And this ultimately would also be a bad thing, because you may also, if you're not able to relate or balance life well, your excellence also may begin to go down, because being able to relate with people is also part of excellence. As you grow and progress, you will realize that. Okay, so what are the things to do to stay in the balance? One of it is that you have to create a realistic schedule. So have time, specific times that you study, specific time for social activities, for exercise, so that you can really stay in the balance. For me, for example, as much as I like studying and reading, I also like other things like watching football. Okay, so I plan my time. If there is a Premier League game, for example, I plan so that I have time to go and watch the game. In the morning, I when I wake up after my morning devotion, I do my exercise. So these things help you to it even helps your mental development. Okay, so it's not just book all the time. An academically excellent student should also have this rounded or balance to life. Okay. Another thing is you need to set priorities. Unfortunately, we've spent so much time, but I'll just introduce this concept briefly. So it's called this Eisenhower grid. It's a principle that if you really want to manage your priorities, you need to understand this, that the concept that you, at any point in time, any activity that you have to do, you need to organize it into whether it's important and urgent, So can you see the slides?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, so there's this. I'm trying to see this. I want to take a pointer. Okay, I'll just so can you see the pointer now? Can you
Yes,
see?
sir.
Okay. So now there are some tasks that are important but not urgent. Some other tasks that are important and urgent. There can be another task that is not important and not urgent. There's another task that is not important but is urgent. Okay, so you need to be able, for every task that you have at hand, be able to tell or organize it in these quadrants, and then the best thing to do is, first of all, start with tasks that are important but not urgent, so that you are not under pressure, right? But then the other task to focus on is the one that is important and urgent. Sometimes, depending on the level of urgency, you may have to work on the one that is important and urgent. But as much as possible, in setting your priority, it's important that you work on the one that is important but not urgent. So when you are able to deal with that, because when you're under pressure to do something, chances are very high that you will make mistake, right? But when you organize it such that you are able to deal with it at the point that is not so urgent, you are more relaxed doing it, and then you are able to get better result at doing it. Of course, it also depends on individuals. There are people who feel like it's when things are really urgent, that's when they are at their best. So but generally, I think that for me, I think that if something is not so urgent, then I'm more relaxed at doing it, and then putting my heart together to do it better. Okay, so this concept is really, really important if you must set priority. Being able to know which of these concepts should I do first, and this is how to determine which one to do first. How important is this, and how urgent is it? And based on this classification, you'll be able to take the one that you need to do first. Sorry, let me just minimize this first. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get back to this slide. Okay, can you see the slide? Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can see your slide. We can see your slide, but we can also see previous slides as well.
Okay. I mean, I just changed it to yeah, let me just try it.
Yeah, the slide is not full screen.
Yeah, I'm trying to. So I just applied an animation, and then I think bringing this pointer changed the whole thing.
Oh,
okay, but I mean, I think we can still continue with this like this, right?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Yeah. So okay. Oh, I moved to another slide, right? So can you see the slide now?
Yes, sir.
It's perfect now.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Sorry. So the other thing is learn to say no. Okay. Sometimes and for me also, I think I've failed in this area a lot of times, because sometimes it's something is not convenient, but what would they say, and then you just over consider and then hurt yourself in the process. So it's really, really a good asset to be able to say no to some things. It's not everything that you should say yes to, just to stay in the balance. Um, Also learn to take care of yourself, okay? And then organize yourself. We've talked about having a digital calendar, planning your activity. If you plan well, you will see that you really have time. And if you are able to focus on the most important things first and using your most productive time for the most important things that you have to do, it will really, really help you to stay organized. Of course, you need in all of this, you need valuable relationships. You need people that can help you stay consistently excellent. This can help to be your support system, people that can encourage you when you feel down, when you don't feel like moving on again. They can help share knowledge with you, tell you about opportunities that you need at a particular time. They can also help you to stay accountable, because there's this temptation that when you are excellent at a point, you feel like you are on top of the world. You need people that can really talk to you and keep you in the balance. Okay, and then it helps you to have networking opportunities, to have to meet other people or see other opportunities beyond the level that you are. And of course it helps you to grow personally also. So in the interest of time, I'll just also quickly, I actually wanted to go through case studies that are classical, but I decided to think about it again and just come up with people that are in our environment. I mean, I don't know if everybody, of course, some of the, like, at least there's one person on this list that I think everybody here knows, right? But there are other people that I've come across whose story of academic success is really, really inspiring, and one of them, and the name that I'm using here is actually names of people that are on LinkedIn. I follow them, I read their stories, and it's really, really inspiring. So Solis finished from KSU, Kogi State University, where I also finished from. She did not make first class, but she was very, very consistent in applying for opportunities and trying to improve herself. And ultimately, she got a MasterCard scholarship to Edinburgh and then did her master's. And now she's doing very well, and if you can, this is her name. You can try to look for her on LinkedIn and you will see some of her stories. She's one person who, from a very humble background, was able to leverage on academic excellence to rise, and she's still rising. Okay, and these are some of the success stories that I think can inspire you to really make effort towards achieving academic excellence. There is another person. This is also the name of the person on LinkedIn, Milton Macaulay. So he finished from um, FUTA, I think Federal University of Technology, Akure. He made first class actually in biology, and then got Commonwealth scholarship for both his masters and for his PhD. So you can imagine the amount of money that is involved in that. So he got that to do his masters in the UK, to do his PhD in the UK, and then after that, he has gone on to win several other grants and scholarships, and is helping other people too. If you can also check him out on LinkedIn. And these are some of the people that I've seen that are really doing well academically and enjoying the dividends of academic excellence. And of course, our own Nicholas Alifa. This is one person that also I believe everybody here knows. He's doing also very well. Um, Needless to say that he made first class in KSU and he went on to win several awards, very prestigious ones. I mean, if you read his profile, you will know that this is also somebody doing very, very well. And you can see also the benefits of being academically excellent in his life. And I believe that the next person that would have to check up his or her story should be one of you attending this course today. And I believe that These stories have inspired a lot of other people here today to take steps. If you are not there yet, the essence of this is so that you can start. Okay, it's never too late. You may not have been taken first, or if you have done your BSc, even if you did not make first class, it's not the end of it. You can make the decision or the choice to be excellent now by applying these principles, and I believe that in the coming days we'll begin to also see you and also read and hear about your story. Okay. I think I've taken so much time. So please, can we have questions as much as possible? Thank you for your attention.
Wow, thank you so much tonight. Thank you so much. I used to call him World Best actually. Thank you for this section. It's been inspiring. Uh, I quickly want to say this because I'll join in prayer by 10 o'clock. But before I go, I want to say that guys, if I were you, you will not just listen to these and maybe even just try to act on it, but you also begin to find mentors from here. Now, the reason why we bring out people with results to talk to you is to make you believe that it's possible. And I think Ajogu has done that very perfectly tonight. He has been able to demonstrate that academic excellence is possible at any phase in your life. I'm even thinking. I wrote in my note. I think we need to do a sequel to this session. We need to have a sequel of how to translate academic excellence into real life excellence, because you are also an embodiment of someone who is not just academically sound, but you have been able to translate that, and you hinted on that during the course of this presentation. But I think it's going to be a full session. I'll get into your inbox and we'll discuss that better. But for tonight, we want to say thank you for your time. Thank you for the time you take into preparing for this. Like, you came up with slide and you took us through the process. I mean, and you are doing this for free. That's one thing, guys. These guys are doing this for you for free, and it's something we don't take for granted. And let me quickly say that the best way to pay him back is to actually be the next person that will be a case study in our next session. And so I want to tell yourself, I want to be a case study. It doesn't matter whether you're a student now or not. Wherever you are, you can position yourself and say, look, I'm tired. I want my life to go in a certain way. And you can make that decision today. And trust me, in the next 5, 6, 3 years, you begin to realize that, oh, this thing is not even as difficult as they say. It only needs intentionality and action. Thank you once again for having you tonight. I will leave you guys to do your question and answer, but like I said, I will have to join a prayer, a church prayer that is by 10. So I will have to leave now. Thank you so much, sir. We are grateful.
All right, thank you. Thank you for having me, and thank you for all you do. To really, really impressed with the effort that you put into making other people better. Um, thank you, and just keep it on.
Thank you. God bless you.
All right. So Feromi, I think that would have. I think that other people would want to ask question. I think because at some point I saw that we were supposed to close by in the next few minutes. Um, and so it took longer. So maybe we can have one or two questions, up to 5 if possible, depending on how many it is. Daniel, you wanted to say something? Okay, Victor. Sorry, Moses. Moses, then Godwin.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much for this amazing session, sir. I really appreciate. Okay, my question goes like this. There's a saying I normally hear. Is it learn to know before you know to teach?
Yeah.
Yes. And when my question is this, when it comes to having a knowledge of what you have, and you also probably you don't have that understanding of the knowledge you have to its fullest, which will make you to probably try to teach others to maybe get understanding, to derive understanding. But when it comes to giving back to lecturers, because at some point, maybe studying could be the main goal. Studying to get good grades could be one of the goals of the student. So when it comes to giving back to the lecturer, such a student, such a person cannot really produce professional, or let me call it standard, cannot reach the standard of lecturers, in the sense that the lecturers demand more. So how can such a student balance that? Let's say he knows something, but he lacks understanding of what he knows, even when he teaches students. But because of lecturers' incessant pressure on, let's
Yeah.
say, failing them for a particular course. I don't know if you understand me, sir.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I get the point. Okay. Yeah. So I think what you're asking is sometimes you know, but you don't understand well enough, and also that there's also another pressure from lecturers that they want you to show that you really know more. Okay. Um, I think what I will do in that case is, of course, the context also differs, right? There are some lecturers whose goal for trying to say that you should do more or know more is not because they are not doing well. It's because they just want to be wicked. Pardon my use of word, but if that is not the case, then what you should work on is trying to understand more and understand better. The way to do that is look out for other people, maybe somebody that knows that concept. It may not be your mate, but maybe a senior or somebody who has studied that before and did well in it, and then you can ask the person to teach you. Don't also be blinded by the fact that you are the teacher or you are the one leading tutorial of your set. There is that temptation to assume that because you are the one teaching them, you don't want to appear that you don't know. Nobody knows it all. That's the truth, right? We are all learning. So you need to come to this point where, if in the real sense of it, your lecturer, in all honesty, says that you don't know well enough, you need to evaluate yourself and really accept that fact and then work on it. Okay, work on it. There are also, even though you are leading tutorials, there may be people in the audience that know better than you and may not be the one leading. Okay, so it's important that in wisdom, learn from those people who know better. There could be your mates, there could be people who are ahead of you. It could even be somebody who may not be ahead of you, but even lower. There are some junior students or people lower who understand the particular concept better than you, that is well advanced in studies. So it's wisdom to learn from people as much as possible, and not just limit yourself. Okay. So if you see that you don't have as much understanding of a concept, find out how to try to learn about it as much as possible from other people who know better. Okay. But if it's a case where you have done all of these things and then the lecturer is just being wicked, then it's a difficult thing to handle, actually. But all you need to still do is remain consistent, do the right thing consistently, and I think with time you will prevail over it. I believe that answers the question. Can we have Godwin?
Yes, sir. Probably. Yes, sir. Thank you. Probably will also go spiritual too.
Okay, yeah, of course. Yeah, but of course that does not it's good that we stay in the balance to be, because some people in the bid to go spiritual and then they become physically almost useless. So everything, they begin to suspect everything, and not accept responsibility for anything. So they see every criticism as something trying to pull them down. It's not all criticisms that are bad. Some of them is just meant to make you do better. Okay, so you really also need to, if you are really spiritual, then you should also trust the Holy Spirit to help you, so that you are not just assuming things and not being in the balance. Okay, so sometimes some criticisms are, even though it appears harsh, but it's important. If you are not doing well, you need somebody to tell you that you are not doing well. It's not always a good thing where everybody tells you because you are taking first, oh, world best, or this. It's good, but it's not the best if all they tell you is that. You also need people that can be able to tell you you're not doing well. You need to sit up, and then you accept it as a matter of responsibility and sit up. Okay. But of course, spirituality is important, but it's also important that you stay in the balance. Godwin, please, can we get your question?
All right. Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
I'm also a biochemistry graduate.
Okay,
So
great.
mine is not actually a question, but when you were giving us and the LinkedIn and username of people that with academic excellence, I was thinking that I was still your own too, because I think you also have academic excellence, and I would like you to be someone I'll look up to, because when we first graduated from the school, I was very, very eager, like, to further my education. Like, I was looking for scholarship up and down, but after getting rejection mail from different places,
Yeah.
these days when I get the link to apply for more scholarship, I do procrastinate a lot, and it's not something I don't like it. So I need someone like you that I'll look up to, a mentor that will teach me not to like procrastinate and do the right thing. So I don't know.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, but of course, at the beginning, I already gave my profile, right? And also personally, I feel like because I'm the one giving this talk, I don't want it to look like I'm blowing my trumpet here. But of course, it's good to stay in the balance. I already mentioned myself in the beginning, so I felt I should not put it there. But of course, my name, Ajogu-Akuh, is also my name on LinkedIn. I don't post a lot on LinkedIn, but if you come to me, like write me a personal message, of course, we can take it off from there. But all I can say is please don't give up. No matter, even with first class, I had some rejections when I applied for scholarship. Even now, you still get rejections. The truth is, even if you made 5.0 on the dot, you are not the only one who made that. Okay, so you need to really tell yourself the truth. It's even possible that somebody with 2.1 but more experience on a particular scholarship subject would get shortlisted ahead of you, because what they need is the experience even more than your academic qualification, right? So you really need to belt up and tell yourself the truth. Rejection is not the end of it. You need to keep trying. If you try and it doesn't work now, try again. That's what that level of consistency is really, really important. You really need to wear out a position by being consistent. I believe that if Nicholas was here, he would also tell you that he has had rejection a couple of times, right? I have had rejections a couple of times, but I didn't give up. Even now, I won't give. I finished my PhD, but of course, there's always a higher level to reach for. And if you must remain excellent, then that level of doggedness you must imbibe. You don't have to give up. Okay, but of course, another thing is, how is your personal statement, the documents that you need, how do you structure them? So those things are also important. So, but it's possible that you have done all these things correctly and you're not still getting the scholarship. So what you need at that point is consistency. Just keep at it, keep showing up, until you eventually win. Okay, so don't give up. And we can connect on LinkedIn. My name is Ajogu-Akuh. It's also my name here. You can just put it and then you'll be able to see me on LinkedIn. I don't post a lot there, as I said, but if you send me a direct message, I can respond. Abigail, you are raising your hand up too.
After Abigail, we have a question in the chat too.
Okay. All right, Abigail. After you, then we take a question in the chat and then
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
Abigail,
sir.
please
Can you hear me,
take.
sir?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Okay. So my question is, okay, let me just ask it. What would you advise me as a nursing graduate now? I'm currently doing my internship, but talking of 2 years from now, I would want to at least do my masters and do my PhD. So my question is, what would you advise me who is in between two choices? Either doing bedside nursing, like working real time to bear responsibilities, or focusing on what I really want that might not really pay me in the real sense immediately.
Okay. Yeah, I mean it's good to follow your passion, right? But in the practical sense of life, if your passion would not also um would not translate into something that can give you viable sustenance, then it's just a matter of time. You will even be frustrated with that passion. Okay. So it's important that now critically examine yourself as a person. For example, look at your age and other things that you have to do, right? If you want to start working full time as a nurse now, if age is still on your, I mean, I'm a Christian and there's a portion in the Bible that says it's good for a young person to bear his or her, I'm paraphrasing it now, to bear his or her burden in his youth. So if you are still very young, my advice would be that you try to further your education more now. Because if you continue with this now, all you may get now, a point will come that you may not have the physical strength to do this again. But if you have acquired more certificates, then you can begin to gain promotion that even without having the physical strength, you will still be able to earn a decent and viable living. Okay, but if you settle for less now, later you may regret it. Okay, so you need to just check and be in the balance. Okay, if you see that what is the highest level of promotion that you can get doing bedside nursing, and you see that, okay, oh, this is the, and if I stop here now, this is enough to sustain me, and then while I try to pursue what I'm really passionate about, then you can just stop now. But if you see that, for me, I feel at this level of my life, and that's also why I had to do my PhD, because a time will come that you may not have the energy, to pursue some things again. So if you really want to get to the level of PhD, um, at least get your master's and start your PhD. If you want to do other things as a lady, for example, you want to settle down, and then if you have a partner that understands with you, then you can start your PhD and both of you can be married. But to start nursing now and leave other things, it's as good as it may not happen. Of course, it's still possible later, but you begin to procrastinate even more. Okay, so check your calendar and understand yourself, but see the ups and the pros and cons of these things. Okay, if you settle for full-time job now, it will give you some money, but if you will not be able to later on in life, where you will not have as much strength again, if you have acquired more degrees or more expertise, the chances are that you will have more opportunities later. So in my own opinion, this is one of the reasons why I decided that I would just continue from my MPhil to my PhD, and then at least be done with that. Of course, you can do other certifications, but that will not be as rigorous. Doing PhD, the truth is it's a lot. I don't know of Nigeria, but over here it's a lot. You will really need to put in a lot of effort. Um, and that's not very easy if you have other distractions. Okay. So there's a question here um, about what are the possible ways to curb terrible procrastination. Um, the truth is procrastination is a bad thing. You need to tell yourself that, and then, like I said, um, sometimes don't try to do, because one of the things that make you shift something to another time is if you see that it's a lot. But if you break it down into bits and pieces, then you can just focus on a particular aspect per time. And when you create a timeline like that, it helps you to be able to do eventually be able to complete that. So one of the things that you can do is, how do I break this thing that I need to do into bits and pieces? And then you begin to do them in bits and pieces, and before you know it, you're able to accomplish it. Another thing is, there are some things that can be encouragement for you to do a certain thing. I remember when I wanted to be very consistent at going to the gym, you know, and for whatever reason, if I go today, then tomorrow I won't go again. And after that, you will begin to have body pain, like, So I decided to try something that will really. So I try to. So there are podcasts that are funny. And for me, if I want to study, I don't do all those things, but I like those kind of funny things. So I decided to put that into, okay, when I go to the gym, I'm going to be listening to those funny things to make me relax a bit. And because I incorporated that into this, it removed that sense of procrastination of not. So also try to check for other things that can be motivation for you to do a particular thing that you are procrastinating about. It can be, okay, if I'm going to study, then I'm going to have a particular kind of drink by my side. That can be your motivation. So you say, okay, if I want to have this drink, then I have to do this. And because you are doing that now, you have overcome the procrastination of not trying to do this. I think these are some of the things that you can do to curb this. Okay. So I think the final question we'll have now is from Godwin.
Godwin, are you there?
I think I've asked my own question. I don't have any question again.
Okay. All right, then your hand is still up. I think we have really gone beyond. I think it's supposed to be 8 to 10 Nigerian time. I think we've gone beyond that time. I believe that everyone here have learned 18 or two, and like Nicola said, one of the things you can do for us is applying these things and doing excellently well. This is one of the things that we are passionate about. We believe that this thing is possible. If we can do it, I believe that any other person. Of course, that's not to say that I'm there yet, but at least we have seen a measure of this, and I believe that any other person who cares to apply his or herself to these principles would also have similar result and even more. So I encourage every one of you to please create time, go through some of the notes you've taken. What will really, really benefit you is what you do with what we have said. Okay, it's not just that you attended this, but how do you apply them? That's where wisdom is also. I wish you well. If you want to reach out to me, of course, my name is the name on LinkedIn. You can try to drop me a message. Other than that, I wish everyone well, and then see you at the top. Okay.